All right, so wood stove. Best way to start a fire in this guy is to lift this out of your way and set it on the left side. You want to make sure that your control here is set. If you go all the way down and then come up just until it's above the L, that should be about the right setting. If you turn it up too high, it's going to open up too much and this thing's going to heat up. It's going to get hot. And you'll know that because you're shooting. Don't move this, by the way. This is at the right height. But you're shooting for this little guy to be somewhere between here and here. So I would say I love it to be right in the spot where there's no creosote buildup, but on the low temp side because it can get really hot in here. And that's when I usually flip on the fan up there. But watch that needle as it comes up. It'll settle out. And then you can feed it to keep it in that creosote burning area. The reason why that's really important is because if you have a fire that's the right temperature with the right amount of oxygen mix, it burns clean so you don't get that creosote going up in there. I still have that can of creosote eater that you put in every once in a while. But I have found that the best way to set this up in here and get it going is to shred about, I don't know, 3 or 4 sheets of newsprint, build a little pile, and then stack 5 or 6 sticks, not too many kindling sticks, but just like 5 or 6 on top of that, and then put a couple of the smaller logs from the woodshed on top of that. But you got to be careful. Don't pack it too tight because it'll really start sucking, and you'll hear it going woof, woof, woof at you when it's really pulling air. And that's a quick indicator that you built your fire too big. If you run into that situation, you just have to turn this all the way to low. It'll cut the air back on this thing. Whatever you do, don't open the front of it because it can do a backdraft on you. So if I was you, this stove works so well. I would go in the small fire side, just build a little fire to start with. And I would put this screen on the front to enjoy it. It burns wood really fast this way, but I would just stick this on here and then you'll be able to enjoy your flames and you'll get the crackle of the fire. You won't get any smoke in if you've got everything. If you don't have this thing turned all the way over. Like I said, I'll leave it set about where I always put it. But that way you can sort of get used to the whole fire thing. When you go to do more of a controlled wood stove, you'll put this front guy back on and you'll get it. I mean, if you're actually building a fire every day, you'll figure it out in a hurry. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we get to these guys. So the top one here is your CO2. So if that says 0, you're good to go. If you want to test it, you just hit the button to make sure it works. And it does this little test, and then it goes back to 0 after that. There you go. Resets. And it goes back to, at some point, it's rebooting, I think. Goes back to 0. There's your 0. So this is the Honeywell. So this is one of those 2 thermostats that I was telling you about, trying to get out of the glare, that you can look at through the mytotalconnect.com. And again, those instructions, I'll come back to this, those instructions will be right here. This will be your stack of manuals right here. And then this will be your logins and your passwords to get into that stuff, what you need to do. But once you set up your My Total Connect account, you'll be able to look at this thermostat and the one out in the family room. With this one, however, you'll be able to control the temperature and the operation of the oil-fired furnace. So right below it is the automatic humidifier control. So this, as you can see, it ties into the thermostat, so the two work together to deliver humid air in when you need it. Right now, you can see we're sitting at 42%, which is a typical humidity temperature in summer in Alaska. Very comfortable temperature. And then here you can download the April Airs, the manufacturer. They're very popular company for making these. You can read all about how to control this. There's a couple different ways to control it. But if you're going to set a control, you would come all the way over to the test. And then you come back to dial whatever humidity level. In this case, I'm looking at the dial down here for 30%, 35%. So as long as it's above 35%, you're not going to get any reaction. But if, for example, I had it set all the way to 45%, or as high as it could go, and it's only reading 43, then in reality, it will fire the oil fire furnace in order to try and achieve it. We would never get there because we have the water turned off, but that's just to let you know how this works. So when you go to the off position, it shuts it out, takes it out of the circuit. Only the thermostat operates, and it just gives you a passive reading of the humidity here in the room. Okay, I'm looking around. Not seeing. I will point out some of your cameras. You'll probably figure them out. There's a camera there. There's a camera up there. There is your one of your door sensors. And looking to see, I think the motion sensor's outside. I know I have a motion sensor in the bunkhouse. I have no cameras in the bunkhouse because it's a bunkhouse. But I do have a motion sensor out there because somebody could come through those windows. All right, so let's move up. We'll work our way to the top and wrap this up. Books. By the way, there's a milepost right here. It's a couple years old, but very, very handy when you're traveling the roads in Alaska. Okay. So, master bedroom. Pretty straightforward. Sits above your greenhouse. You can keep an eye on your ice, your heaters and how they're doing and their ice buildup. There's some more of those pots, flower pots. I probably didn't tell you about this, but there's an odd mirror up here, and that mirror actually has a function. So when we're on, like if we're sitting on the bed, again, this is a Roku Stream Bar Pro also mounted underneath with just the woofer. So you have center, left and right. You have 3.1, I think it is. And then, of course, your television. But a lot of times we'll be on the bed and we'll be like watching the TV. Well, if you roll over to your side, you can't watch TV, especially if you roll that way. Well, guess what? If you're laying down here, you can look up in the TV, it'll shoot back. And it'll lay not facing the TV. That's laziness there. And still watch TV. Again, these are touch. Are they touch, Tilly? What do you think? What do you think? Huh? What do you think? She says, what are you doing? All right, so bathroom. What's important about a bathroom? Really nothing other than anything that you see down here. There's going to be some cleaning supplies and some extra towels. But I want to talk for a second about this shower. So this shower, I never intended on leaving it this way. This is actually a bath. But when I went to do the remodel downstairs, I like taking showers, so I knew I needed a shower. So I basically just plumbed in this copper shower and in this square up here with the curtains. And then this is just a shower wall that I built this little wall right here and there's little shower coverings here. So I can take showers. Well, I liked it so much that I didn't want to take it down. So I'm not taking it down. If you want to go back to wood and get the shower out of here, or you want to do something else, it's really easy because I didn't glue anything. These screws, these series of screws right down here along the side, this literally is the only piece that has some glue in it down here at the base because I had to seal it. So you'll just have to go down to razor blade and just pop this out. But I mean, other than that, pulling this wall out and these pieces off, curtain out, you take 4 screws here and this whole piece will come out with after you take those screws out. And it exposes all this wall. So all of this wall is all built in. You can completely remove the shower. My intention was, at one point, I thought it would be great to take this wall and go straight up with glass. Take this tub out and go with the shower tray. And then just make this glass shower and then put a piece of glass on the back, the sides, because then you could enjoy all of the beauty of the wood, but it would all be glassed in. But this was really a temporary thing for me. But I like the quirkiness of it, so I kept it. So, Roy, I'm leaving it for you. If you want to take it out, you certainly can. Okay. The last stop is the loft. So the main thing to remember about the loft, again, Roku, streaming stick, tied in. The main thing to remember about the bedroom is underneath there is emergency ladders to go out that window. So both this room and the office, I'll show it to you when I walk down at that end, but have emergency ladders. You literally open up the door, open up the windows. You can kick those windows all the way open, just unhook the holding arm on them, the open close arm. You can swing them out. You can hang the ladders, and you can go right the heck down and get out in case you have a fire up here. You have smoke alarm. You also have fire extinguisher. I don't know if you can see that. And this is going. Just haven't taken it. It's my office printer. This is the pipe coming up. Again, another CO2. And then this is where I've done most of my work. I'm just the last of my papers and my guitars and stuff. But you'll see the other ladder down there. So if you look outside, you'll see some odd hooks, maybe potentially some rope. I had a long wire antenna. I'm a ham operator. And I had all my radio gear was down here. And I had antennas going up, out to the peak. And then I had them going from the peak all the way to the other end, out where I had the trailer parked. It was a long wire antenna, big, long thing. And I use that for listening to radios and talking to people. So that's what that is. If you see it and you go, gosh, I wonder what this was for. It's ham operator stuff. And also another smoke alarm here. And I think, my friend, we're coming close to the end. Again, you have one more television. And the control for that is right here. So there you have it. I think that marks the end of our grand tour, and I hope that you enjoy these videos.